We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Hello. How's everybody doing out there? Peasant Chat, where we talk to the poor people that have no money to give me during the regular week's shows. And usually we talk about anything and everything that's happening on the Peasant Chat. But today we have a very specific thing we want to talk about. We want to talk about Gail Banks' reaction to JLT/SNB's TRX Dyno video, and I have a lot of thoughts about this, but I'm going to preface it by something I've been saying for a while, but before we do that, I want to say hi to the people and get right to it, because I have a feeling I'm going to talk for about a half hour before I even get to any of your comments. So as always, we want to thank the fine people at 2 Auto Solution, Caliber Transmission, Oh My God Cookies, and the Parts Farm. That's right. They're the sponsors of the show. They pay a brother, or they provide services so that they can be a part of the channel. And I really appreciate them. We're going to be doing some big things with Parts Farm and Caliber Transmission. We got some stuff cooking. 2 Auto Solution is out there in Puerto Rico, Caguas, Calle Uno. Doing this thing with Corvettes, Mustangs, pretty much probably the best late model shop in Puerto Rico right now, especially in the Caguas section. And Oh My God Cookies has gone out there and made a name for themselves. They're actually working with a bunch of other people also to sponsor their products, so good for them. And I think some LS guys up north that work on their car, they're doing some work with them, which is good. We want them to grow big time. Okay, let's say hi to the people here. We're going to get right to it. It's going to be a lot of stuff happening. We got Central Florida Coyotes, Chris Anderson, Andy Ali, Muffler, Miguel, Salazar, TJ, Victor, Dunn, Monty 540, Jose Figueroa, Sam Morales, I'm Hung So Low, Potential Spam, Coyote Kelly, Denzel, Christian Sama, Mini Bike Madman, Kabi Coyote, Walter, RC, R Crawler or RC Roller. It looks like R Crawler. Adrian Ochoa, Godfather S550, Robo Style Tango, Dill Space, Legion Fab. We got Santos JPL Performance, TRD Ricky, Noel, Nick G, LS Body, Mike, Dustin 10R, Chris Beckman, yes, Steve 14B, AJ Gen 2, Mike, Miguel Ale Al-Hosane, Miguel Marin, All Things Boost, Tyler, Coyote, I'm in a Cult, Samba V, Poop on a Cat, Alex, I'm a peasant. My couch touches the wall. What advice would you give me, Joey G? Homer, Fast Rider, Puppy Chulo, 828 Maniac, Boostin' IT. Okay, let's get to it. So in 2019, I had enough data and I had enough, I want to say, knowledge to accurately portray what a cold air intake with an open air element does. And I wanted to let the people know that some of the cold air testing that you're seeing out there, it can be debunked in terms of how they're testing it. That's it. That's all I wanted to do. So I didn't want to get a aftermarket intake because it would be seen as me trashing that intake. So the best I could do that was aftermarket, but still kind of affiliated with Ford, was Roush, right? So I got a Roush intake with no insert, and it has an open air element filter. And I tested it against a 2018 100 millimeter closed air box. I thought that was as close that I can do to give you a apples to apples based on what I was doing. So what I did in the video was tuned the 18 intake on my red car, and I went wide open throttle. Now, hood up, hood down generally doesn't matter in that specific application because the cold air box is sealed. But what I did do is I tested it hood up, hood down, and it was within 2 horse of each other. I had a fan in the front close to the snorkel, a pretty high powered fan, and it made within 2 horse of each other, hood up, hood down, stock 2018 cold air intake on the red car. Then I installed a Roush cold air intake with an open air element, tuned it. I showed you the fuel trim data was on the money, same timing, and I closed the hood. And that's where we pick up on my test. So let's check out after I ran the Roush cold air intake with the hood down these were the results. Check it out. More power than a Roush open air element intake. So, hood up, hood down, 404, 401. The top two graphs here are the stock 18 cold air intake. In red is the Roush cold air element. I'm sorry, the Roush open air element with the hood down. IATs were over 130, hood down, fan on. Now, let's test it with the hood up. Sorry about the fan noise, but now I'm going to test it like everybody else tests it. Open hood, fan blowing into it somewhere. Actually, I'm going to center the fan a little bit. And we'll see what kind of results we get with the hood up, open air element on the dyno, and we'll see what IAT does. It's a hot one today, so let's finish this test. Let's just get to it because we don't need to do the talking. So we finished the test here. Let's make sure that, you know, the thing's running. 4 degrees cooler with the hood open. So let's make a poll. Let's not even pause. Let's not even cut. Let's just see what the deal is. And fast forward. Here we go. Hood open. The reason I'm laughing is because the power number was retarded. Again, it was down 9 horsepower with the hood open, and with the hood closed. With the hood open,
God damn it! I'm really sorry, guys. I'm doing my best. There we go.
It made 412. So from hood closed, 392, hood open, 412. So basically, by having the hood open, it sucked in air from the earth. The earth was the grill. The earth was doing all the work, not the grill. And it's a false test, in my opinion. 100% false test, 100% not. Again, this test wasn't supposed to be scientific, but it was just to illustrate the point that if you compare a cold air intake that has an open air element against a stock cold air intake that has a closed box, and you tested with the hood open, the test is null and void. So what happened not too long ago? Well, Gail Banks was made aware of a video that S&B/JLT put out there on their TRX. And he basically went line by line why the video dyno test was absolutely ridiculous. Guys, the way to test it, okay, I'm not selling cold air intakes. I don't care about cold air intakes. I don't sell them. My job is just to tune them. If they don't make power, don't look at your tuner. Go look at the guy who's selling the stupid intake. Plain and simple. So Gail Banks gets a wind of this video because if you guys don't know anything about Gail Banks, because I've seen in the comments, you guys say Gail Banks don't know nothing. Gail Banks is old. He's whack. Get on game. Do your fucking research before popping off your cocksucker because the guy is legit as fuck. So someone made him aware of S&B's product selling a JLT branded cold air intake for a TRX, and their selling point on the dyno was full of mistakes. And I really hope that the Banks people don't copyright this video. I'm not going to play all the way through. What I'm going to do is play key bullet points that Mr. Banks kind of showed that the test is absolutely ridiculous. And if you're going to test, if that is the official test for the intake, he says there's so many flaws in it, it's not even funny. So there's Mr. Banks, one of the OGs of hot rodding, and I'm going to just kind of play some bullet points. We'll skip around a little bit on the video, but let's see what the deal is. So we're going to get right to the dyno testing immediately and his reaction.
All of my dyno videos, and something that is often talked about online is hood up, hood down dyno testing.
I feel like Crocodile Dundee right now. You call that a fan? You know, when he brought the big, yeah, that type of thing. You call that a knife? I don't know what he's doing with that fan, but there's not enough fan there to cool me down on a hot day. Let's continue. I think I know where the hell this is going.
These fans are powerful, but they are just here to keep air.
That fan is not powerful.
Transmission radiators to keep those temperatures at the bare minimum before overheating.
So this is the problem that Gail Banks specifically has with this. If you're going to test your cold air intake, you have to mimic as close as possible road conditions. Last time I checked, you don't drive down the road with your hood up.
So
wait a minute, the bare minimum or the bare maximum before overheating?
The airflow is not going to be the same as if you're doing this down the street. An average dyno run can be 50
It's not going to be the same as down the street.
Exactly. So let's get to the explanation as to why Gail Banks thinks the hood being up is bad.
It's not apparent to most people why that's so wrong. But what should be really apparent is there's no ram air into the nose of the vehicle at all. That little 20-inch fan that he has on some sort of a table 8 or 10 feet from the front of the truck, that's impacting virtually nothing. It's not helping with the cooling. Maybe 0.1%? I don't know. But it's not meaningful. We built our own.
Look at what they have, okay? Banks, with the hood down, tests the actual inlet of the grill where the cold air is located with this Billy badass fan, okay? You want to talk about a data-driven guy. He literally explains in this video, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. I want to get to the meat of it when we talk about the tuning aspect. So he goes into intercooler heat saturation, Banks wind machine. He goes all in. So we're going to talk about the stock intake dyno runs done on this truck.
Let's watch some runs. Run number 1. That looked like about 6 seconds from a virtual standstill. Now he's coasting. Okay, here's run number 2. Right at 5 seconds because he came from a coast. A little higher wheel speed starting point. And another one. Okay, run number 3. Watching the clock. About 5 seconds there. So 6, 5, 5.
So
okay, this is the spot where I really want you guys, and I look, I'm sorry if this is boring. Okay, this is important. The next thing he says in this video is what I have the biggest problem with. Take a listen, take a listen, take a listen.
So full disclosure, we had this truck in a few months back thinking that we could bring it in, drop the drive
what's
shaft,
this?
do a couple of baseline runs with the stock intake, swap the JLT on, make some baseline runs, and give you guys a good apples-to-apples comparison of what kind of horsepower this thing gains. But
nothing.
Listen to Gail Banks.
These trucks
Nothing about what you're doing is apples to apples.
go into what's called cat
Nothing.
overcount. You
Jesus.
halfway sometimes into your first run, second run, or third run, it goes into cat overtemp.
There's
so the
a new
temperatures in
wrinkle.
the cats are really high.
Cat
the computer
overtemp.
senses that and it dumps fuel. So you get a graph that's gradually
To
going
protect
up and then
the
dumps
cat.
as it dumps fuel.
All right.
Virtually impossible for anybody to get an apples-to-apples comparison. So
Actually, if you want to test your intake versus a stock intake, apples to apples is a stock tune with catalytic converter protection active. That is 100% apples to apples. Stock tune, whatever gear allows you to make a test, stock intake. Stock tune, because it's map, whatever gear allows you to make a run with your intake. That is the only way it's apples to apples. And what you should do if you're testing and verifying is 3 runs with the stock intake, average them to 1. 3 runs with your intake, average them to 1 with catalytic converter protection active. Let's keep going.
what we did was we got
I
the
got to
truck
stop
back.
it right there. virtually impossible to get an apples-to-apples comparison. That bus has already left. Here we go.
We sent the computer to HP tuners, had them unlock it, so then we can go in and we can shut off that cat over temp. We can.
So what he literally just said is, I tuned it. The first step in tuning is turning off catalytic converter over temp protection. This is now a tuned truck. It is not to apples to apples. Apples to apples is with catalytic converter active stock. If you deleted something and the speed limiter, it is now tuned.
Override that. Now we can.
Oh, by the way, he actually went in there and implicated some stuff. If you guys listen closely, be smart. I don't have to say it. He implicated companies and stuff.
Make back-to-back runs and have it be consistent. No tuning involved, no change.
Cat over temp protection on this type of application is the first step in the tuning.
Gail Banks, we don't deserve you, man. We don't deserve you. You're just the old fucking G, man.
That's the first thing you do is shut off the over temp protection. Here's my comment on deleting the cat over temp protection and then testing an air filter. You guys aren't going to have that. You're going to have a stock truck. So my only comment is, how about you test your air cleaners on a stock truck?
Ah, so you're selling this to people that have a stock truck and you're validating your parts on a tuned truck. Thank you, Gail Banks.
Whoa.
Thank you.
So let's go to Mr. Apples to Apples, the Apple Man.
Changes inside
See
involved.
what else.
Also, what we're able to do is unlock the speed limiter, so now we can make a run in 5th gear as opposed to 4th, because it would hit the speed limiter and you wouldn't get a full run either. So those are the things that you got to watch out for when you see other people's dyno tests. Did they do all that stuff?
Oh, no, they probably didn't do all that stuff because they made an accurate test. Did they do all that stuff to skew the tests? Did other people's dynos do stuff to skew tests so that we can sell product? Is that what other people did? I'm telling you guys, keep on believing the hype with cold air intakes.
Full disclosure, we did, and now you're going to get an apples to apples comparison. So what we do with all of our testing is we use...
Oh, I love you, Gail Banks. So if you see how this truck was tested, obviously this truck is not tested on a dyno that's built to accommodate it. If you see the dynos that Gail Banks has, they have a ton of room, big drums, big dual drums. It accommodates the vehicle nicely. When you see this other vehicle get dyno tested, it looks like it's tested on a Honda dyno. It looks like the wheels are barely fitting. This is not a dyno that's well equipped to test this. Again, whatever. But the funny thing is, the wideband at the exhaust just falls out mid-run. Like, edit that out. Like, okay, it happens. Edit that out. But I mean, wow.
Okay. Now, what are we doing here? Going through the gears. Okay, that's another one from a roll.
There goes the wideband. Bye-bye.
What was that just fell out of the tailpipe? Must not be too important.
Right. So anyway, at the end of it all, they claim a 20 horse difference over stock, or 23 horse. Both tested with the hood open. One of them probably having more of a seal than another. Both tested with a fan that looks like you can get at Home Depot. And that is the validation for the testing. And Gail Banks, because I don't want to get copyrighted, you guys need to go in and watch that whole video, because in my opinion, this video illustrates what's wrong with aftermarket companies that try to sell you a product based on dyno testing. Okay, here's the link in the chat right there. I'm going to pin it, and I want you guys to watch the whole video because you guys are going to think I'm biased. Now, full disclosure here, full disclosure. I don't like Jay Tucker at all, right? he is a piece of shit of all pieces of shits. This is why. And I'm going to tell you full disclosure why I dislike him as a person. Back when I was working at Lund Racing the first time, we had some issues with his cold air intake. I had his JLT 123 on my TVS car. It fell off. With heat, it would warp. It would pinch at the throttle body if you over tighten the clamp. If you put the intake on too tight, it would skew data. It would actually squish the where the MAF sits, and the data was inconsistent. So I could literally have the same part number, 7 intakes across the board, and all 7 intakes need different tunes. So as a very young and green tuner, I said, hey, this isn't tuning right. So Nick James at PMAS gave me a cold air intake and 1 tune across 20 guys I did. Again, as a very green, brand new tuner, I simply looked at the data and I went, PMAS has better data because their build is consistent across the board. So Jay Tucker got all mad, got pissed off, blamed me, saying, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a nobody. And you know what? At that time, I wasn't a badass tuner. I'm not a badass tuner. I'm just a guy. But I couldn't really go off and pop off and say anything. I just started working for Lund Racing. I just got into the tuning game. I needed a job, so I wasn't about to go online and pop off or get into an argument with someone that I thought knew something. So subsequently, after doing a bunch of testing with the 148, the 123, the Series 1 on Gen 1 Coyotes, I'm like, this thing is terribly inconsistent, terrible build quality. I don't recommend it. So I recommended PMAS based on the data. Plain and simple, the data. The data was great across the board. And as a tuner, just like some people like ID 1000s, ID 1050s, ID 1300s, the data is something you don't have to worry about because it is on the money. So subsequently, I got let go from Lund Racing because the person that was training me was doing some sketchy shit. Lund Racing wasn't in Florida, so they said, we can't train you remotely. Unless you're willing to move to Pennsylvania to continue to work for us, we probably can't keep you on board because the person that was training you is fired and gone, and I don't think Junior can train you remotely. I said, I don't think I want to upend my life and move to Pennsylvania when I just went from Massachusetts to Houston to West Palm in a year, and then only 3 months later to go up to Pennsylvania. I just didn't want that. I just said, I'm good. So we parted ways. Guess who goes on the online forums and starts saying, ha, 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 he got fired because he was talking too much shit? Jay Tucker. Jay Tucker went in talking all this shit. And at the time, I couldn't say anything because I don't have anything to fall back on. Luckily, VMP picked me up. Now, by VMP picking me up, it shut Jay Tucker up. Why? VMP bought a lot of product from JLT. VMP bought a lot of product from JLT. A lot of their kits utilized their stuff. And I was stuck tuning them and custom cold air MAF data all the time. But I shut my mouth. I said, one day the chickens will come home to roost and a person that is a tremendous piece of shit will get his. Well, here we are today. Gail Banks pretty much puts a spotlight on the type of testing that I think is done across the board by a whole bunch of different companies, a whole bunch of people selling product, basically stating power gains from their product. And my 2019 video was highlighting that, where I said hood up, hood down is like a 20 horse difference. The only proper way to test anything is by mimicking road conditions, hood down. This is why I say this. So many times customers come up to us, the tuners that tuned your JLT, and they go, it runs slower than stock at the quarter mile. I went to my local track. I ran 0.2 slower. Explain to me how that's possible. And I say, very simple, sir. When you're in the staging lanes idling, your inlet air temperatures skyrocket with any open air element intake. You don't go up there pushing it with the hood up until you're ready to do your burnout and go. You turn it on, probably listen to your radio, probably turn on the AC while you're at it. And the inlet air temperatures under the hood get up to 140 plus. So after you do your burnout and you stage your car, your inlet temps are probably 150. Whereas if you had a stock covered cold air intake grabbing air from the outside snorkel, it'd still be hot, but probably 40 degrees cooler than the open air element. And then let's say you're a 12-second guy. That's the difference between 12.1 and 11.8 or 11.9. If you go 12.1, 12.1, 12.1, 12.1 with a JLT cold air on a hot day, and then you put a snorkel stock filter on it and get 40 degree cooler inlet air temps, guess what? All of a sudden, it actually performs better. On a roll, that's completely different. That's more of a new fad thing. On a roll, you're not really affected. But that's how, in the quarter mile, you can go slower with an aftermarket cold air intake. And that test right there that Gail Banks highlighted and explains in detail as to heat saturation, oil viscosity, all that stuff goes into play. It's a 22-minute long video. I really want to thank you, Gail Banks, because if I say it, it's just some bald, dumb Puerto Rican beaner saying it. But if Gail Banks says it, he is an engineer, has a massive company, he's an OG hot rodder. You can't say he doesn't have chops. You can say I don't have chops all day long. But when I've been saying something that he then verifies, you can kind of take that information and do what you will with it. All right, guys, what do you think about that situation? Gail Banks is taking kind of a risk, but I think at 80 years old, he says, I don't give a shit. This data sucks. And I'm going to tell you why it sucks. I really want to thank Gail Banks and Banks Power for putting that video up there because it explains if that company, S&B, JLT, whatever, if that's their testing method and their way of validating that you should buy your cold air because of this test, I could not imagine even attempting to buy that cold air. And by the way, congratulations on shouting out tuning companies and adjusting. I'm not even going to say it. Not even going to say it because he implicated, all people have to do to get at tuners is listen. If I was an agent, I'd just go on YouTube and go, I'm going to pop you, I'm going to pop you, I'm going to pop you, I am blown away that people are allowed to say certain things. When I made the test with the Roush cold air intake, you know what I did? I sent it to Nick James. I said, Nick James, because you sell an open air element intake, and I respect you as an engineer, I'm going to send you this video. And if you can find any holes in the data that I talked about in the video, I will not publish the video. He literally said, data's data, bro. You got data on point. I can't refute anything in that video. A gentleman that sells cold air intakes gave the okay for me to publish a video that was fact-based, even though it might hurt sales of his cold air intake. That's why I roll with PMAS. That's why I fucks with PMAS and nobody else. Plain and simple. Gail Banks is pissing off a lot of cold air manufacturers. NNA guys, Banks is legit. That's the other thing, Admiral Peck. People are on my videos saying, who the fuck's this guy? Bro, dude, if you don't know who Gail Banks is, I can't take you seriously as a car guy. The only reason I ever considered a Duramax, 02 to 06 or whatever, before the DPF came into play, is because of Gail Banks. Where with a tune on stock stuff was gaining crazy power. That along with exhaust, and he was doing propane injection and all this stuff. I was like, holy shit. But again, I'm not a diesel guy. It just never really captured my heart like Mustangs and hot rodding did. Exactly, EPA. It's not the first time Gale has done that. Right, Gale also called out Hoonigan for a diesel test on a dyno when it was sucking in its own exhaust. It was great. Bro, I'm telling you, literally makes me want to throw my JLT 123 in the trash for no other reason than the logo. EPA going to be knocking on JLT's door first thing tomorrow. Rest in peace. Imagine having to tune 2 JLT intakes if one was bad enough. And okay, I'm just going to be general. In the last year, I have had to retune combos that were vetted for 5 years. I'm saying part numbers, combos that were vetted for 5 years with verifiable data that I thought were copy paste cookie cutter at this point. I have to tune them from scratch. Almost to the point that I say, hey, is this cold air leaking? Like, is there a massive hole behind the mass airflow sensor? And they're like, why? I'm like, it is 30% off. 30 on a verifiable tune that I've been tuning for years. It is 30% lean. What happened? They check. I have these guys go to garages. I have these guys buy smoke machines. I feel so bad for them because I'm like, wait a minute. How can a part that's the same part number since the beginning of time be 30% different in the tuning process? So as a remote tuner, I have to do all that vetting and have to do it all over again. So now what do we have in our tuning system? We have like 6 sets of data for the same part number. Think about that, guys. Think if Ford had to tune every single car custom that went out of the assembly line. Every single car coming out of the assembly line. Imagine if Ford had to custom tune every single car they make because the parts discrepancy is that big. Crazy. Do you think nitrous is beneficial for a supercharged Coyote? Yes. Come on. Nitrous is beneficial everywhere, but it's all a matter of how much nitrous. Let's like the video. It's free as fuck, right? Again, guys, all I ask is a simple thing. Like the video. Like the video. That's all. My channel is small. My channel's tiny. I'm never going to be big, badass channel. But guys, 377 viewers and 189 likes. That's lazy shit. I'm giving you entertainment on a Sunday morning before football. That was me with you a few days ago. Yes, has diff cover video with the first I ever watched. Felt like I was listening to an absolute master of the craft. Hooked ever since. If you guys don't know about the differential cover video of Gail Banks, go to the Banks Power channel and sit there and soak in the knowledge. The guy's not going to be with us a long time. The guy's not going to be around for 50 more years. The guy's going to be around. He's 80. So anything can happen. And for a guy that has forgotten more than I have ever learned in the automotive tuning industry to be spewing knowledge, it's like listening to the elders back in the day, sitting down around the fire and just letting them talk. And then when they drop knowledge on you guys, you absolutely have to watch. The diff cover video answered so many questions for my dually that I never knew to ask. Capacity isn't everything. I stand with Gail Banks. We can learn to work with the EPA, and I'd imagine they'd be willing to work with us. Yes, but the problem is this. You're going to have outliers in the industry. You're going to have outliers that don't give a fuck and don't comply. Now, I get it. You guys liken this to the Second Amendment argument. I get it. But at the end of the day, what we need to do is make sure that cars that have a VIN number can be converted to race cars first. The worst thing you could do while we're in the middle of fighting that is have a drag and drive event, because it actually makes us sound hypocritical. Because if I say, hey, I'm fighting for VIN cars to be able to be converted to race cars only, and then you have a drag and drive event where they drive 1,000 miles throughout the country, then go racing while they have turbos and pipes sticking right out of the hood, we look so stupid as an industry. So I stopped fighting that fight, the drag and drive fight. I am at the point of like, either let us do it all or don't let us do shit. Either let us do it all or don't let us do shit. And you know what's going to win from those two is the don't let us do shit party, based on the people that are making it more difficult for us to make our argument. Go jump a Crown Vic, be famous. Alex, we love the technical videos. You can smell the gear lube. That's a spicy 80-year-old. JLT is also made right next to Whipple. No, it's not. It's hard to make sure the tubes are the same size with square. Whoa. No, they're not made by... Stop it. See, that funny have of covers just, I don't know what he's talking about. It's like rubbing one off and feels different every time. Gail Banks doesn't have the lights in his headliner. He says it like it is. No light brand for Banks, right? The problem is send people like Richard Petty to represent the industry. And that's the other thing, Dustin 10R. We criticized that move right away. Shout out to Richard Petty. Good for you. You're a badass racer. Awesome. Shout out to Antron Brown. You're a badass racer. You don't know a goddamn thing about what's happening on the street level side of things. Right? You're an NHRA owner. You race NHRA funny cars. That's all you do. If you were to come down, yes, down to our level, and in terms of industry-wide, what we have to deal with, you would probably say, fuck this, all or nothing. right? If you have to sit there and see what people are being put in jail for and fined for and under probation and all this stuff, you would, Antron Brown and Richard Petty would say, yeah, fuck that. You either can do it or you can't. Are we free or we're not? But they go up there and don't even realize they're being used as puppets by SEMA. SEMA ain't for you. You think SEMA? Well, SEMA is retarded. So's PRI. Straight retarded. They will absolutely go on road shows highlighting drag and drive events, then go to EPA meetings at Capitol Hill and go, we just want to make them race cars only. They're driving on the street. Your point is bullshit. Stop it. Man, if I would stop it. Many years ago, I bought a JLT intake with the perceived numbers of inefficiency. I wish that video was around. I could have saved all that money. It seems like common sense test, and they don't have any. Can't wait for the 2024 Mustang dual intake test video. I'm getting an open air intake, losing the hood. I mean, okay, there comes a new wrinkle. If you don't have a hood, all this shit goes out the window. If you don't have a hood and you have a trompeta intake, all good. There is no grill you have to worry about. There is no straight air you have to worry about. It's ram air all the time. So fine, then this does not pertain to you. But if you have a filter that is in the engine bay or even in the fender well PMAS is so awesome. You guys saw my video yesterday where I went 0.3 quicker on E85R tune with E60 in the tank than the Flex tune learned to E60. And the PMAS intake did not need any data touched. Zero. I did not touch the intake data. It was one and done. And I have 4 tunes on my N gauge. Pump gas, Flex, E85, E85R cammed, all with the same PMAS data, and it simply works. We need Gail Banks, not Richard Petty. Banks has a world record that set him as an OG. Like Lund, he stands behind the tuning knowledge because they run what they sell. Right. So Gail Banks has diesel stuff. Gail Banks is a turbo guy. I think he went 300 miles an hour in the fucking 80s in the Bonneville Salt Flats with like a Camaro with power windows, like an IROC version of a Camaro. The guy races what he sells. We are 6R80, in my opinion, nobody can touch our 6R80 game. Like, not even close. That would be if McDonald's has the Whopper, we have 6R80. The problem with 10R80 is the trans is junk. So yes, you might be a badass 10R80 tuner, but the trans is not holding up, or maybe the aftermarket hasn't caught up to where the 6R80 is. But when I see a 6R80 with all billet internals run 7s for 4 years, I go, why the hell would you even buy a 10R80 car if you're going to race a car? Gail Banks is the truth. Love the guy since the 70s. Monty, there have been many NA guys that are rolling with hoods off, unfortunately. I wish I would have found this video 8 years ago when I bought my 107mm cold air intake. But John Morrow, you are not at fault here. You were being led down the wrong path by people that were giving you bogus information. I, as a guy from the outside looking in, when I started making my YOLO douchebag videos, I just started making stuff up. I started making stuff up, what tuners do, what tuners talk about, because I basically thought there's no fucking way that they would do this. And then I come to find out that everything I said was literally right on the money. And I thought, so tuners are lying to you? Aftermarket companies are lying to you? Yes, abso-freaking-lutely. And only when I got in there and started actually when I learned to operate a dyno, when I learned to tune a car, when I learned I am tuning my Corvette right now. And I am blown away as to not how simple it is. I'm used to seeing Coyote stuff. So when I open a Coyote file, I go, oh, there's so much stuff. But I know where to go. On a Corvette, I don't know where to go. But I see like a quarter of the data. Like a quarter of the data. And I went, wait a minute. This isn't that difficult. Not that it's easy. I'm not going to say I'm a badass LS tuner. I'm just saying, compared to Coyote, the LS stuff is very simple. You just have to know what table does what and how it affects the vehicle. And I don't know that yet, but I've done some spark stuff, some fueling stuff, and it seems to be reacting exactly how I wanted to. Next is going to be a 4-pound pulley, scale the load or the air mass that way, and get a wideband on it so I can actually verify watt air fuel and see how the car runs, and then put some long tunes on it. What about a car design with an open air element from the factory? I would assume they would have that R&D down. Correct. the GT350 intake. If you guys take a look at a 2016 to 2020 GT350 intake, or a Mach 1, or a Bullet. Look, the Mach 1 and the Bullet literally use a GT350 intake. So that has a very deep, if you notice how deep and down the intake is, and the hood seal is very tall. When you shut the hood, it creates a excellent seal, and it gets air from the snorkel in the front. Then what you guys do is this. You get an aftermarket grill, you eliminate the snorkel that it was designed from the factory to suck air from, and then you start going, hey, my car's driving weird all of a sudden, I don't know why. I'm deadass looking at starting a Street EC emissions compliant class on my local truck stop. YOLO Simpson, 1 cam versus 4. I think you should put up a survey asking who has hit the thumbs up to remind people to back out of the chat screen, hit the like. Thank you, that's a good idea. Have you liked the video? Have you liked this video yet? There. Because look, the only way this channel is even going to grow at all is for the likes to be up there so that the algorithm can push the stuff out there. Senators are interested in, I don't care. YOLO Nostradamus, hit the like button. Why hasn't Jake done any 1080 stuff, or does the trans just sucks? Think about it. Jared Wells, think. Why hasn't Jake, the trans guru of the Ford game, period? Guys, I'm sorry, I love you. Period. Dot, sealed, delivered. The trans guy, the Ford aftermarket race trans guy, period. Why hasn't he gotten into the 10R80 game? Think about it. His truck has a bone stock 10R80. You know what he does to his truck? It's capable of 1,000 horse. He goes, I'll keep it at 700. I'll keep it at 700. I'm good. I said, okay. If and when he gets into it, that's when I start fuxing with it. Right now, you want a Billy Badass 10R80? Manuel Gomez is the guy to go to, period. There's other people that build transmissions, but Manuel seems to have the longest lasting 10R80s. But even his skill, I don't think, is good enough to overdo the bad design of the 10R80. 6R80 is King Daddy. If someone wants to build something with tips from you or Lund Racing, should they contact you guys via email or phone? We don't talk to anybody on the phone. Or buy a tune and discuss it through the ticket system. Mad Lad, you don't even have to buy a tune. You can just discuss it through the ticket system, and then we can guide you. We can guide you the right way. We're going to hire another customer service representative pretty soon. Because we're getting bombarded. It's crazy that we're still growing, but I think we need another customer service representative to handle the load, because us trying to answer questions and spit out tunes at the same time is very difficult, even with the lack of tuning accessibility that's going to be in the future. Guys, I don't predict we're going to be in this for a long time. I don't think I'm going to retire tuning. I think at the end of the day, the government is going to shut down tuning, just like the government shut down the V8. People are touting V8, touting Ford, and I'm like, Ford is down 30%. Their stock is tanking. Everything made past 2020 has less and less quality items. And you think reskinning 2 throttle bodies on an intake and a weird back that looks like and the front looks like a Camaro ZL1 is going to save the company? No. Congrats, Ford. You kept the V8 in the car. Badass. It's an S650. The K-member is the same. Trans is the same. Rear end is the same. The chassis is the same. How can you call that the 7th generation Mustang when it's a reskinned S550? I don't get it. So, yeah. Alex, nice. Alex, tune my LT1 on 85. Nope, I won't tune any LSs. Or LTs. Some aftermarket companies just tune for their bottom line profits. I get that. Makes me wonder if you could do a 5 or 6 speed conversion in the 10 or 80 case, like 30 disc clutches. Stop it. Look, there is a way of converting that to a trans that shifts less, because a lot of people think the more shifts, the better. Then if that's the case, why are Power Glides and Turbo 400s the baddest shit on the planet? Besides Pro Mod stuff, they shift like 50 times. Facts, my 10R80 neutrals out and driving shifts weird sometimes. Bone stock. Kind of like the 4R200 conversion, like before the stream started. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, look at that. The likes are up to 300 already. I appreciate you guys. Love for the win. Wish you guys expand to other platforms. The problem is, Alexi B, the other platforms are saturated. How much is a tune for a Z06 Corvette? Let's say I have the credits for my MPVI. I have everything. And now I got a C6 Z06. Hell, let's say A ProCharge Z06 C6 version. How much is a tune? How much is a tune? And it's going to be cheaper than the Ford stuff because a lot of people can do it, right? There's probably 17 tuners out there, probably 5 that are good or 4 that are good, but there's probably 17 tuners out there that'll get you from point A to point B, and it'll do, and you wouldn't even know if it's a good tune or not. You think the startup stumble is normal because it has a cam, you think this and you this or that. Someone said 800 to 1,000 depending on the application. Damn, then there might be money in it then. Someone said 400. See, that's the problem. There's such a discrepancy with that. S650 is a joke, and I can't believe people are buying the hype. See, the people that are buying the hype, guys, is the people that have to buy the hype. They have to buy the hype. If you're a suspension company, you gotta say it's badass. Why? Because you gotta build products. Why? Because you gotta make sales. Meanwhile, you look back and you go, actually, it's an S550. We have all the products. But you have to shout out the car to get the hype up, so people buy the car, so you can sell parts, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But as an end user that knows some stuff, I go, that car is not that much different, minus the dash and front end, than a highly optioned S550. So if you're gonna tell me, Alex, new Dark Horse or GT350, that's not even a question. GT350. Alex, new premium GT S650 or 2020 GT S550? 2020 GT. Why, Alex? I have access to all the data. If you were to say, Alex, out of all the S550s and S650s, which is the best one to build for a race car? 15 to 17. If you want to race, drag racing, 6R80. If you're a man with 2 nuts, stick shift. 2015 to 2017 Mustangs. Why do I say that? Because with boost, you all make the same numbers. The 11-to-1 compression, 15 to 17, at about 850, 900, you're going to start experiencing problems. Gen 3, same thing. S650, same thing. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. If it can be tuned. The revision is 200. God, I think what bothers me the most about JLT is that they've had years and years to improve on the design and testing and actively chose to avoid putting in the work. Because, look, you guys don't need me telling you the deal. Okay? You guys, all you need to do, the more information you guys know, the better your opinion can be based on the companies, and you can see right through their bullshit. How many of you didn't know a goddamn thing before people like me, Gail? I'm not trying to compare myself to Gail Banks. Please, sorry. Don't even think that. I'm just some dumbass. Before people like me were out there giving you truth bombs about the shit that's out there. You guys are probably like, oh, you guys probably defended it. You guys probably literally defended it. What are you talking about? It made 20 more horse under dyno. You're just a hater. Then I bring out a video going, look how you can manipulate numbers on a dyno. And then they go, oh, shit. So then they see another video and they go, shit, look, the hood was up. Alex, I remember Alex saying something about the hood being up, and he showed it on his dyno. Holy shit. So look, you can do whatever you want, believe whatever you want. But the more knowledge you have about the aftermarket tuning game, the less likely you're going to be bamboozled or duped into buying a inferior product, hopefully. Alex, brains or trains? What's talking about? Parts companies catalog suspension parts 2015 to 2014. Same, right? 2015 to 2014, maybe the same part number, but maybe not. Because then they're going to go, wait a minute, what's the difference between this 15 and a 24? Nothing. Well, can you give me the part number for the rear spring on a 2024? Same one as a 2015. You mean they didn't change it? No, I don't think so. Looks to be the same cradle. Looks to be the same thing. The only thing different is going to be maybe the exhaust is going to be a little different. Maybe the headers are going to be a little different. But generally, the bones of the car are exactly the same as 2015 to 27, 2015 to 2023. And then 10R80 is probably going to be the same, maybe a new valve body. The 4R200 is supposedly tougher than the 4L80 Turbo 400. No, it's not. It still has 4 gears with all in one being overdrive. No, not really. Yeah, that's a gross oversimplification. Always choose the GT350 over the Dark Horse, no question. Exactly. People are going to buy the S650 bumpers for their S550. Hey, Alex, my Candy Bell 168 keeps fail-safing. What other throttle body would you recommend that runs well? Twin 65, Twin 67. Look. You are now in that world where monoblade. The monoblade throttle body is pretty damn difficult to get one that works properly. I personally own a Kenny Bell 168 in my blue car. I don't drive my blue car daily. I take it to grocery store and back, maybe get some ice cream and back, maybe to the car wash and back. But if you start driving a big, massive monoblade on a hot day, and the throttle body starts to grow, the blade starts to grow and rub on the casing, rub on the bore, and the TPS, the motor that actually physically opens and closes the throttle body gets really hot and starts having issue controlling that blade, it's going to fail safe. So what did we do? We put phenolic gears in it. We cleared some stuff. We put a certain lube in there, and it makes the issue less prevalent. Does my throttle body act great? No. At wide open throttle, over 7,000 RPMs, it starts to close. It goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. I have ways of counteracting that. We're going to do some testing eventually, but that's just the nature of the beast. If you want a throttle body that just works, a Twin 65 from Ford Racing or a Twin 67 from VMP, and if you can find a Twin 69 or a mono that doesn't fail safe from that company, have at it. The original JLT had a PVC and generic rubber tube. The heat shield was plastic rectangle. Did nothing. I stand corrected. You got it. In your opinion, which is a better drag car, the New Edge or the S197? Good question. I'm thinking about parting out my S197 and Coyote 6 already, swapping the New Edge. The New Edge has a triangulated 4-link. The S197 has a 3-link. I would opt for the 4-link, the New Edge. Is it worth locking out the IMRCs on the NA Gen 2? You're not going to get one more horsepower from it. Great show today. Really looking forward to the 19 GT content. Cliff, the New Edge would be lighter. Okay, there you go. It's lighter and it has a 4-link suspension. I would pick that. Watch holder videos. Monoblades are hard to get right and they warp. And the Twin 69 sucks bitcho. That's what Dustin 10R said. I have had a 50% failure rate on most aftermarket throttle bodies that are not the Ford Racing Twin 65. Lone Wolf Angling says, Alex, there's a ghost in that closet. It's probably Tony. Long tube's different manifold and different colder intake. I'd say you probably need a tune at that point. At bare minimum, the rear knuckles were changed on the S650 seen by the caliper location. Hopefully, the rest has changed too. I hope that the S650 has so many changes that aftermarket companies can thrive. Like, I'm not here to down aftermarket companies. I'm here to give you guys at least some kind of knowledge-based advice. But I look at the S550 and the S650 and I go, it's the same fucking car. No, Alex, totally different. The windows swoop down different. It's got stickers in the back. It's got a different wing. It's got a different back and it's got a different front. So does the GT500. But you see that nose on motherfuckers? Yes, you said in a drag car application, New Edge or S197. If I was going to go drag racing, I'd pick the one that has the triangulated 4-link over the 3-link setup, for sure. Sure, I'm poor, but I'm glad I went with the 2,000-mile used 2020 over the new one earlier this year, now boosted for less. Ryan Jones, my New Edge is 800 pounds lighter than my S197. VMP Tweet 1067 on my 13 GT500, car gets down. MMR built engine ported Gen 3. Alex, can I swap my 19 digital dash for 2 laptop monitors like the 2024? Oh my God. I remember when Gen 3s came out and they had the option of going to the super badass digital cluster over the analog one. People in 2015 and 16 said, can we do that? Sure. But it was big money and you had to reprogram, I think, your body control module with ForeScan or something like that. Okay, cool. Now people are going to start putting laptops and what do you call them? Tablets on their shit. I understand that, says Vincent. However, do the IMRC lockouts give it more throttle? I don't understand. I don't understand what part of no advantage, zero advantage in locking out your IMRC. How is it going to take away? What do the IMRCs do? Vincent Meralda, what do the IMRCs do? Do you think they make your throttle more responsive or less responsive? Why do people think that when you remove intake manifold runner control, that it would make it more snappy? Remember the CMCVs for 3 valves? What did that do? It allowed a little more torque down low. I'm saying like 1,500 RPMs to 2,000. And anything over a certain throttle percentage, they just open. Just like the IMRCs do. So why would a car have a snappier pedal when you delete that? I'll never understand it. I'll never understand it because, and again, maybe he doesn't know, maybe he's new to the game, but I cut my teeth on Fox body stuff. So I have a pretty decent base of how air flowing through a manifold affects the car mechanically. I don't get it. They didn't change anything. You can tell it's the same chassis. They just give it Camaro parts. Nice. No means no. Fuel economy. Nitrous and bias plugs. Oh my God. Should I trade my 14.6 for a Boss 302? Hell yeah, absolutely. Guys, look, I'm never not going to recommend the best S197 ever made. Alex, which is the best S197 ever made? The Boss 302. Boo, Alex, what about the 1314 GT500? With boost, you can make 1,000 on the Boss 302. With boost, you could chuck a rod at 850 with a 14 or 13 GT500. The best S197, in my opinion, ever made was the Boss 302. King Daddy. King Daddy. If the U.S. kills the tuning industry, everything will just move to overseas. You can just buy one from Russia or something easy. I agree. I absolutely agree. So if tuning goes away, it'll go away officially. It'll still be around. People will still be able to tune their cars, but you are going to pay big money for people to take that risk, or Russians to send you shit. That's crazy. I mean, if I need something tuned, it's getting tuned, regardless of what the government says. I mean, Ford probably got a great deal on spare Camaro parts from GM. Somebody had to do something with them. Just lock bank too. There you go. Put black SVE X500 wheels under 500 and you got my twin. I'm rewatching the JLT 350 video because in theory, it should make more power if both have the hood up. I'm rewatching the JLT GT350 video because in theory, it should make more power if you have the hood up. Ryan Rodriguez, the problem is this. You can't run the aftermarket JLT on a GT350 unless you tune the car. It's a 120 millimeter cold air. The stock one is like 105 millimeter. So you have to tune the car. Unless you're showing me the spark, unless you're showing me everything, I'll give you a nice little tidbit of information. Back when I started working, and this was what started the whole Jay Tucker bullshit, there was a GT350 here on the dyno at Power by the Hour. It made 500 rear wheel horsepower with the 85 in aggressive tuning. But the spark wasn't any more than 30 degrees. And it had a stock cold air intake. I repeat, guys, it had a stock cold air intake. But the car was tuned and had some aftermarket parts. They, JLT and them, were never able to duplicate that. So they said, y'all must have fucked something up. Did y'all clear the cam? The keep alive memory? You know, that stuff that only fucks with long trims, not wide open throttle fuel control? Whatever. Did you guys reset cam? Okay. So now we're shitheads because a stock cold air intake GT350 made more power. Then we shove his intake on and the PC, you know, the crankcase breather thing doesn't sit right. The O-rings are loose in the hole, but it matches the color. And then it didn't make any more power. Not one more horsepower. And we said, yeah, we can't make a video out of this because it didn't make one more horsepower. And there was bickering back and forth via email to the Lund sucks. So that's when we're like, wait a minute. Why are you blaming us? It's your intake we're testing. We don't give a fuck who you are. Your intake did make 1 more horsepower than the stock one. Live with it. Your intake started inducing vacuum leaks because the grommet where the PCV stuff just wasn't seating properly. Don't get mad at us. Go back and hit the drawing board and do it all over again. Dude, it was such a shit show back then, but I couldn't say anything because I'm like, I was watching, I was looking at the emails, I was looking at the data, I was going home and studying things. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, I mean, the stockholder intake just performed better. Not only performed better, performed the same. So maybe you could say that they had a better filter. Let's just say that. But if you were to put that same filter in that Jeep stock 350 cold air, probably would have done pretty well. Bro, it's a shit show. And then what you guys start seeing is this. People that hate Lund started getting together and saying, let's refute Lund's data by teaming up and saying, whoa, this tuning company had no issue with my intake, so it must be Lund. And Gail Banks, right there, rebuts everything that dumb motherfucker has ever done and said. I didn't have to. Gail Banks, an engineer, goes in there and goes, yeah, no, this is shit. And that kind of tuning was prevalent all through the fucking Coyote era. The whole Coyote era. So I was like, hey, I didn't have to say it because if I said it, I'm just a nobody, dumb Puerto Rican, bald dickhead from Florida. Right? But when I say it and an engineer, literally, word for word, says the shit I was saying, not because of what I was saying, because he reviewed the data himself, all of a sudden, it's verifiable and true. I can't wait because the homeboy has such an ego that he'll try to make another video. Remember the video he made about PMAS? Saying, you stole my shield design. Motherfucker, a PMAS sticking out the fender flows better and more smooth air than you with your shield. Stop it. Man, stop it. I can't wait till he goes out there and refutes an engineer. Go ahead. I actually want you to make that video refuting what an engineer said about you. You can make fun of me all you fuck you want. You're wrong, but you can make fun of me all you want. I don't care because I'm a nobody. But I dare you tell Gail Banks that he's wrong. Other companies ball wash, right? It's all ego. How dare you contradict them? Real companies want my feedback, like ESS. Make respect ESS. Look, ESS, shout out to them. They're like, dude, you could trash this kit. But don't trash it if it doesn't deserve trashing. Okay. So I'm going to put it on. I'm going to tune it. I'm going to potentially dyno it and drive it and give you my impressions. I know the only thing missing in my setup is the Lund tune, which is coming soon. Love the channel. Knowledge. Keep up the great work. Chris Beckman. Thank you, sir. Yeah, and I hate to bring up the other company, but they tuned a stock 350 and then put another intake on and retuned it. And it did make more than 2 or 3 horsepower. The margin is so small. Pull to pull, the dyno can vary that much on the same exact tune, same exact everything, based on oil temperature, based on a parasitic drag, based on everything, tire pressure, everything can change the readings on the dyno. So if a aftermarket intake company starts having to skew the data to make their part sell, you already know what you need to do there, right? You guys know, turn off the channel, go to the next. But you guys, imagine when Ford or Chevy says, best-selling trucks ever. Like, there are people that literally watch NASCAR, and if the Home Depot car wins, they'll go to Home Depot. If the Mountain Dew car wins, they'll buy Mountain Dew. Well, it's obviously the best. That car won the race. You mean the car with a FR9 and I don't know what engines they have now? Never mind all the other cars with the same setup. That one with the Mountain Dew sticker on it. That one won, so now you like Mountain Dew? Stop it. The manufacturer doesn't realize that you guys want it to make more power. That's the business. You're on their side. And if it doesn't perform, it sucks for everyone. Nope. Let me go and rep somebody that agrees with me. It's no different than Googling something you want the answer to. Someone somewhere is going to agree with your opinion, and you use that as validating your part being good. if you say Lund tested my cold air and Lund didn't make any more power, I'm going to go to a completely different tuner and say, he made more power? How come Lund didn't make more power? Because we're honest. Because we have zero skin in the game. We have no invested interest or vested interest in your part either doing well or sucking. What's the plus or minus on the dyno? It can be 5 horse, maybe 10 depending on the power output. If it's like the higher the power number, like 1100, it can vary 15 to 20. The lower the number, it'll vary, 3 to 5. I remember reading about Engine Master's Hot Rod Mag that all they would do is make the most power possible on a pull. Big problem is people buy parts first and then ask later, what's the best route for their goals? I've had this happen 3 times this week. I've had gentlemen go up, just lost the race. That's a good one. I had gentlemen buy an intake, not a JLT, a completely different one, and say, I need a tune for it. Meanwhile, they have a PMS currently installed in their car. I go, so let me ask you a question. You have a PMS currently on your car. I do. You are now buying a completely different intake than the one that has the best data on the market. I am. That's what you're telling me. Yes. I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. This intake might not drive well. I don't care. My friend makes it. He's gapping people. I want it. Tune attached. It's off 50%. Tune attached. It's off 30%. Are you sure there's no leaks? Alex, there's no fucking leaks. What the fuck? Just give me the tune. Tune attached. It's off 15%. Tune attached. It's off 12%. Tune attached. It's off 5%. Tune attached. It's off 2%. Now I am on revision 6. And you say, it doesn't drive that good. Pikachu face. It doesn't drive that good. Can you give me another tune? My job is to get fueling within a certain spec. How the air enters the MAF has nothing to do with tuning. How the air enters the MAF, and if it creates a fucking swirl, and then it does this shit, and the sensor goes, whoa, what the fuck is that, son? Pikachu face. It doesn't drive good? Alex, you disclaimed that it wasn't going to drive good, and now it doesn't drive good. Why? One of them was made by an engineer. The other one wasn't. Really interested in how the ESS does for you. Had Nardi speaking highly of them and looking at... But Nardi doesn't race. Hey, I love Nardi. He's never been over 5,000 RPMs with that car. I repeat, Nardi has not been over 5,000 RPMs with that car. I love him, though, very much. And his killer dog. Stag Mode runs my wavy plastic intake, and he said it made more power in the Arctic Circle. I wonder if you can cut out one more section of the honeycomb and a stop. Admiral Peck, go away. You're saying dumb shit. Go away. I mean, Admiral Peck, you're like Turvey. You almost need your own intro music like Turvey does. You literally say the dumbest shit. Like, Turvey's number one. Okay, Turvey like takes the cake. Turvey is Hulk Hogan. You're like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. When it comes to stupidity. People think tunes fix it all. It's because it's cammed. My wife and I wore out the Thing University shirts yesterday and got asked by a nice white family what it meant. We gladly explained. Good for you, Nick Vasquez. Alex is the reason someone else can comment. Can't see anything he says, I guess. The amount, okay. The amount of revision to not drive that good. Meanwhile, you get 850 horsepower boosted cars done in 2 or 3 revisions. But Lund sucks, right? Right. So people say, Alex, Lund sucks. Lund likes cookie cutter tunes. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's say I have 10 vetted tunes. 10 vetted tunes. 10 of them. An NA tune that runs 10s. A Whipple Paxton turbo tune that have run 8s or better. a truck version, NA boosted, that have run great, a S197 setup that runs great. And just because you want to be different, you don't want any of those tunes. What's your goals? I want to run 8s. Here's the combo. No, I don't want to do it with that intake. I want to do it with a completely different intake. Okay, that's fine. You're not going to get the same results. What do you mean? Aren't you a tuner? No, we're a tuner. We've just done everything on the fucking planet to vet the files. So all of a sudden, you're going to have to either choose the right way or your way. And if you choose your way, se acabó el party. It's still real to me, damn it. Right, exactly. It's turvy, brother. Hacksaw pack, right. Did you like the data from the Edelbrock blower over a Whipple? Again, the car doesn't care what's on top of it. I'm going to tell you this. Every 2650 rotor pack that I've had that has an aggressive pulley combo rapes. I'm saying, like, holy shit, this thing's powerful. God damn it, it hits really hard. To this day, I recommend a 2.3 liter TVS when the car is going to live under 800 horsepower over any 2650. In my opinion, a 2650 is going to be badass when you want to make 800 and up. But 800 and under, I think the 2.3 liter TVS, the way the rotor pack is designed, is better. Whipple over 2650. It's real simple. The 2650 can support up to 1300 horsepower depending on the cam, heads, and displacement of the engine. So can a Whipple. So it's all about how you want the power delivery to feel and how you want it to look under the hood at the end of the day. But the car doesn't care. Blunt sucks, but I always keep coming back to them. Right. Hacksaw pack tuning. Talking celebration, not tuning. But I'm special. Mama said so. People think that the variation between cars is massive. If that were the case, then some Mustangs would need different stock tunes. Exactly. Pulley down to an 82 from my 88 in my Odin 350, and the thing rips. Makes 13 psi now over the new pulley change. I like the hit over the 2650 over the Whipple. There's nothing wrong with the Whipple. The Whipple makes great power. But the Odin or any TVS Eaton rotor pack, TVS Eaton rotor pack, hits just so hard down low, it makes it enjoyable. Maybe traction is going to be an issue, but if you just like fucking around and doing some hooning shit, that's the one to get, in my opinion. Based on, guys, I've owned every single combo except turbo. That's the only one I haven't fucked with, and I tried. I'm like, I ain't gonna hack up my car to put a turbo in it. Yeah, just cut up the grill a little bit instead of removing it. Drivability delete. Is there a 2.3 TVS for Gen 3? I wish there was a way of me putting the rear feed Roush blower, because I want the removable elbow. I wish there was a way of mating a Roush blower 2.3 TVS onto a Gen 3. That would be so awesome. Yeah, I understand it's not going to make 1,000. I understand it's not going to be the Billy Badass, but if you're going to live under 800, that's the one to get. It whips up so fast and hard. It's great. If I was to stop spending money on my car, I'd love a 1342 with a 2.3 for a second car. Exactly. 2.3 TVS on my Gen 2. Absolutely love the initial punch and then how it pulls to 7,500 RPM. Guys, my Corvette has a 2.3 liter TVS, but on a pushrod 6.2 liter. Imagine if that car was 11-to-1 compression. It's 9-to-5 or something. Imagine if my Corvette was 11-to-1 compression like the Z06s are, but with a 6.2 and a 2.3 TVS on race gas. Oh my Lord. It would be dumb shit. But 9-to-5, and it still makes 600 something. Vincent Moralta says 2.3, 6R80 and keep a 315 out back. Yes, absolutely. That's a 9-second combo if you have E85. If you have a 72 millimeter pulley and a 10% overdrive, PMAS 120 intake, CJ65 or TJ67, ID 1000s or FIC 1000Hs, 3200 stall, 315s, free flowing exhaust, full weight, the car will go 9 something. Easy. But Alex, you haven't had a Gen 5 Whipple. Wow, you just got that old thing. It's the same thing, bro. I'm telling you, I drove our Black Bean, and it's the same thing. It makes good power, but it's not like a TVS. Do you have any recommendation on turbo sizing, or do you just say buy a good kit? Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not that well versed on turbo stuff. I have a turbo that's for sale. No one's even buying it. I'm trying to get $1,100 for this turbo here. It's a 75 millimeter S400 base, but made by Airflow Solutions or Fuel Induction Solutions. You know, it's the Borg Warner turbo modified by Force Induction Solutions. Nobody wants it. Like, nobody wants the turbo. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just keep it and whatever, but I'd love to sell it for $1,000. I don't understand the whole copied my shield design thing. Do you mean the piece of sheet metal with a bend behind it? Yeah. He was bent about PMAS making a shield that closely mimicked his. That's not what's making power. That's not why I like it. I like it because I can go PMAS 120. If you go to our ticket, well, not our ticket, if you see how we tune, we build a file. There's a base file, and then we throw stuff on top of it. So here's a base NA file. Let's just say there's a base NA file. Bam. Okay. And then, okay, he has a LU47s. So LU47 data is verifiable. 373s, 410s, what have you. Tire size if it's a Gen 1. And PMAS. Right? Do me a favor, give me idle and slow revs on this tune. Okay. Idle, slow revs at operating temperature comes back within 2 or 3%. Guys, every time, 2 or 3%. I had a guy had a 2650 PMAS 120 88 millimeter pulley, Deechwork 95s. One revision. Fueling was dead nuts. The next subsequent revisions, move up the rev limiter, a little more spark. He was done in R3, and he ended up making 700 on pump gas. There is one PMAS file that we use. One. How many JLT files? 8 or so. Like, and they all have to be tweaked. It's like a base file. Like, that is like a base file in and of itself. So we throw that over a base file. So now we know, okay, the cold air data is going to have to be tweaked. Like, I know that going in. You ever want to bring the vet to Bradenton? We should pair it up with my boosted. Here we go. Alex, I want to get some clout and get on IG. I want to race your car. And when I beat it, I beat YOLO. You know how many times people say that? You know how many people... Okay, Vincent. Let's say I go to Bradenton and meet up with you and race it. Are you going to put it on IG? Because this is what he's going to do. I beat YOLO's Corvette. Watch me. TVS hits hard on the street on my setup. Didn't JLT get upset about other catch cans as well? Oh my God. Stop with the catch cans. Oh my Lord. The catch cans. There are GT500 guys that all they buy is what looks good. So they go, well, this catch can looks good, so it's the best. And I go, no. The catch can that's the best is the one that actually does its job. Whether it's Motion Raceworks, whether it's UPR, whoever. You don't see UPR or Motion Raceworks dogging JLT. And if you do, it's news to me. But you definitely see JLT dogging better catch cans. Like, stop it. You're not no innovator, man. Stop it. Stop. Just sell your products, make them look really pretty under the hood, and make your money and shut the fuck up. That's it. No, you got to go out there and get all salty about shit. Bro, shut up. Stupid. See, now I can say that. Back when I needed a job, I had to be careful what I said. But now, if tuning goes away, I'm good. Like, that's the freedom I have now. And that's the freedom I have built myself. That I can say whatever the fuck I want as long as it's not detrimental to my employer. But if it's truth and fact, my employer don't give a shit. I love listening to Alex because you help us save money and make the process much easier. Guess who didn't listen to facts? Just don't like to be told they're wrong. And I get that. My passion is information. And I have spent the money 2 or 3 times on products. And I don't want you guys to have to do the same thing. Like some people go, UPR copies, UPR this, UPR that. My Fairmont went 8.7 on UPR basic shit. Lund's Grey Goose cut a 115 or a 114, if I'm not mistaken, on basic UPR control arms and a TIG Vision anti-roll bar. And Viking struts, Viking rears. Basic shit. But people will have you believe you got to buy certain things to run a number. And then when someone goes, no, you don't need any of that shit, they go, well, you must be wrong because they said you do. I'm going to be a crazy bastard doing Twitch. Stop it. I don't care. I have a JLT 3.0 and it picks up pure oil and doesn't add condensation. It works great. Honestly, then good. Look, if you're happy with the product, great. Good. But when you see him popping off on other people, bro, just shut up, man. Just shut the fuck up. I love that Gail Banks went in, bro. That's so awesome. Good morning from Cali. Are you giving out cookies today? No cookies. Man, tuning won't go away. Look, if it does, it does. I'm prepared. I've set myself up that I can survive. I'm not going to say thrive. Actually, maybe I would thrive. But I'm not looking to leave Lund. Lund treats me exceptionally well. They pay me great. They leave me alone generally. And I do my best to go out of my way. Guys, I had a remote dyno. I had a trackside support yesterday from 1 to 4 p.m. A gentleman paid the premium to have me sit here and stare at the computer for 4 hours, and I was happy to do so. Yeah, what do you want to do? I want to go racing a test and tune Saturday. I go, here you go. Let's look at the data log. Data log looks really good. But you know what? Here's a little more timing on the hit, and we'll see if the track holds it. Track didn't hold it, came back with some more data. The guy was happy as shit. I'm not one of these prima donnas that goes, I'm not going to work on a Saturday. If we schedule it ahead of time, I'll go out of my way to support Lund. I go up to Lund Racing just so they can go to a test and tune. I drive 3 hours out of my way just to see the guys once in a while. I'm going to go to ModNets just to crew the car. Like, I have their fucking back forever because they had mine when it mattered. When it mattered, they had mine. So I'm not going to go out of my way to fuck up that relationship by saying something really stupid. But when it comes to Jay Tucker, that is my axe to grind. And he tried to fuck with me. And now I didn't have to fuck with him. Gail Banks slapped his pee-pee and told him, yeah, this is retarded what you're doing. I love it. Love it. Love it. Radium Engineering, Cats Can't Hear, trashed JLTs years ago. Alex, would you boost a 18350 like 10 PSI and pump gas? No, maybe 7. Or just stick with the Coyote. Thinking about selling my boosted Gen 2 and getting a 350 with the ESS kit. I wouldn't go on pump gas and do 10 PSI on a 350. I would do like 7 or 8 PSI on a 350. Like the video or my dog goes in the microwave. I got a UPRK and front control arms on my 96. I got a small block Ford UPRK member, and I have a Coyote UPRK member. I have UPR control arms, rear and front. A-arms, uppers, lowers. 0. I even have their adjustable coilover perch thing conversion in the back in the Fairmont. 0 issues. Stop. Tuning goes away. New tuning company will be pop up in the Caribbean called Dyno Racing. $1,000 E85 tunes. Alex, do you know the that's actually pretty funny. Alex, do you know the application of difference between Viking, Warrior, and Crusaders by chance? I do not. I know one of them is more of I like how they have horsepower ratings for shocks, but one or I think the valving difference is the biggest issue. I honestly don't know the specific difference. I'd have to open them up and see if the valving is any different. Is Jay Tucker the guy in Gale's video? Correct, Harley. I'm late, but this live seems juicy and I have to watch the beginning later. The rods are weak in the 350. Ask me how I know. To whoever just asked about boosting their GT350, ask the hot sauce. The hot sauce GT350 was making 900. By the way, shout out to HPJ. HPJ is this close to announcing something so fucking badass. I can't wait because I'm happy for them. But the hot sauce GT350 got his car built by HPJ and it made 930 horsepower. I think Brandon tuned it. And I said, awesome, pulley it down. I'm sorry, pulley it up. Why? You're going to blow it up. Do me a favor. Whatever power you made that day on the dyno, lower it by 4 PSI and run the same tune. Unfortunately, he had an engine failure, which was back in the day. He got back up and running. He's running good, but do not play Russian roulette with a $17,000 engine. Is there longevity cons of running a cam lobe tune? No, not at all. Have you decided on a power plant for the Fairmont? Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Steve Morris announced a giveaway. And he's giving away a 500 cubic inch big block Chevy. And I was like, okay, NA, 800 horsepower pump gas? Fuck yes. Because why not? Now, if that doesn't pan out, obviously I don't think it will. A lot of people joined in for that, but I want it. Like, I want a Steve Morris big block Chevy. Like, sorry. I'd love to win it. I bought a hoodie, a hat, and a shirt. Each entry was 5, so supposedly I had 15 entries or whatever. I want that motor. But if not, I'm going to buy a Coyote from Jake and carburate it and make someone's going to make a carbureted intake manifold, run a carburetor on it, and maybe that turbo right there might end up in a carbureted blow-through setup Coyote with locked cams. I think that would be really cool. Really expensive, but it's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long-term project. So in the interim, I'll put a pulley on the Corvette. I'll put an ESS on the white car. I'll see if I can get a TVS for the blue car and get you as much content while the Fairmont is getting worked on. By the way, I reached out to some people down in whatchamacallit, close to, what's the name? Where the Red Sox play winter ball. Where do the Red Sox play winter ball? Fort Myers. I reached out to a company to do the front tubular on my Fairmont and back half it. I haven't heard back. I left them a voicemail, so I'm hoping I can hear back, and we can do some business. Sellout giveaway, gotcha, bro. Can I get a Camaro tune on my S650 Mustang? I was thinking to enter the Morris engine too. Right when I saw that setup, I went, "Oh my lord, look at that! A Carrillo rod, badass. I mean, if I can have an 800 horsepower pump gas setup on my car, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Run what? 9.0 in the Fairmont? Stop it. Hit up Turo Viate Racing. You can make a badass carb intake. Will only cost you $75. Can the twin turbo 350 run 85 with a booster pump at 1050s? You're gonna have to keep boost at a reasonable area. I wouldn't really want to risk going big money. I really want to big boost numbers on a 350 with a stock fuel system. I think you're kind of playing Russian roulette there. The build series on that motor is so sick. Steve is the man. Could you do adapters and use an old 4.6 carb intake? Yeah. So Admiral Peck, one of the guys did it, and I'm going to take his lead. I'm basically going to try to copy his setup, except I'm going to get a Gen 3 motor if possible. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can make it work. The hard part is going to be spark. Fuel delivery's cake. It's carbureted. But everything else is going to be a little on the suspect side. So I need the room. I need the facilities to make that stuff work. Carb Coyote sounds really fascinating. Has anyone done that before? Yeah. There was a guy that did it. I forget his name, but he did a really good job on the whole situation there in terms of outlining what he did to the intake manifold, what he did to the carburetor, what he did for spark, what he did for tuning. I think he did a really good job. Put a Holly 4150 on the new Cobra Jet manifold. Now, okay, let's do that. So the new Cobra Jet, I want to tell you guys something. That is not meant for dual throttle bodies. I don't know if you guys think that was meant for the Dark Horse, but it's not meant for the Dark Horse. This is why. The Dark Horse has twin. I don't want to put him on video. I don't want to put this fucking guy on video. Let me see if I can click on images. I just don't want to put this motherfucker on videos. Images. The new Cobra Jet manifold has 2 small openings, but it has one gasket. Like one gasket area. Like a monoblade O-ring. Okay? So that was not meant for dual throttle bodies. And I'm trying to find... Here we go. Perfect. So if you look at this intake... If you look at this intake, look at it closely. It has one gasket. Download original. So it has one gasket. See? Ooh, all the way around. So a lot of people think this was made for the Dark Horse. No. The Dark Horse has like twin 84s. Okay? This has one continuous gasket surface, not 2. So you cannot make 2 throttle bodies onto this because everyone thinks dark horse, dark horse, dark horse. No, it has 1 gasket surface, 1 O-ring, okay? So unless there was a gasket here, then you could say it has 2 individual throttle bodies, but it has 1 continuous gasket. So this was made for a dual bore throttle body, meaning a twin 65, twin 67, twin 69. Nothing different. Did TG Red Car have a Gen 2 truck motor? No, they had a Mustang motor. How does Ford expect to sell the new CG intakes for the new untunable Mustangs? No idea. No idea. That's nothing. My buddy Eric has donkey tuned GT500 pushing 1200 on stock blower and tranny. He's really him. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Good thing is a carb intakes don't matter. Alex, Holly MSC should have a controller pack. Yes. So Admiral Peck, supposedly you can make some kind of spark situation work with that. It has to be like a standalone unit, but then you got to get the crank signal, you got to sync all that stuff, and you got to make sure that everything is on the money. ESS just got a 350 kit local guy. The guy told me I didn't know what was I talking about when I told him he shouldn't run over 10 PSI like he's planning to. Okay, look, guys can go out there and talk all this shit about they know more than you. You, Dustin, own an ESS kit, probably a 4-second 60 to 130 car. Every 10 PSI GT350 IC makes good power on pump gas, but I really wouldn't want to risk the inconsistency of pump gas on that much boost on a 12 to 1 compression Voodoo motor. 7 PSI? Sure. 8 PSI? Sure. 10? Not so much. Now, if he's going to run race gas 385, have at it. Do your thing and whatever. What's a good pulley to run on a P1X and pump gas? No fucking idea. The red car had an F-150 6R80, I think. Correct. The F-150 had a 6R80 only, I think. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. So today was great. We pretty much highlighted JLT getting pretty much shut down in terms of their process of vetting their combos, or S&B, whoever you want to say, by Gail Banks, an actual person, an engineer. We played some of the videos there. And then we talked literally anything you guys wanted to talk about in terms of setups and tuning and whatever. So typical peasant chat shit. So today, guys, was a healthy day on the likes. I appreciate it. We had, how many people did we have watching tops? 436? Yep, 436, 506 likes. I really appreciate that very much. You guys have done a great job of getting the likes there, and that will work in terms of algorithm. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy football. I will be on Tuesday talking shit. I'll try to get you guys a video tomorrow. I'm not sure if I can get it for tomorrow because I'd have to make it today. Got a lot of stuff going on today, and it's not exactly favorable weather right now outside. Have a great rest of your day. See you guys later. I'll say hi to Tony for you guys, and I'll see you Tuesday on Talking Shit. Thanks for joining. See you guys later. Bye.